Hello and welcome to the Leading to Lean Lean Tech podcast. My name is Tyler Whitaker. I am the Chief Technology Officer and Chief Operating Officer for Leading to Lean. And with me today is my partner in crime, Bob Argyle.
Hey Tyler, how's it going?
Hey, Bob is our Chief Customer Officer at Leading to Lean and has a wealth of knowledge on the manufacturing side. And so today I think we wanted to talk about a topic that's near and dear to your heart, Bob.
Yeah. What I wanted to talk about today, Tyler, with you is just the battle that goes on in every manufacturing company. A battle that I fought for many years, being on the operations side of the business, and that topic is the battle between IT and operations.
What do you mean they don't get along? Is that what you're telling me?
They don't. I mean, they do sometimes, but it just feels like they're always working against each other. In my experience, I always felt like IT. I always wondered what they were working on, for one thing.
Well, they're working on the most important things of the business, right?
That's what they say. But to me, the most important thing to the business is getting parts out off the production line, because sometimes sometimes the feeling I had was the IT department thought we were an IT company, and they forgot that it's parts off the production line that pays the bills. And so it just felt like we was always working against each other. And the things that I needed, we always had a list that we had to get all our stuff on and prioritize it, and my stuff was just always at the bottom of the list. And it was just it was frustrating. It was really frustrating, and I'm sure they were frustrated too. But it did create a lot of finger pointing, and it really was kind of a battle.
So what are you talking about specifically? I mean, that's pretty general. As an IT guy, I'm used to hearing complaints a lot. So be specific.
So I will be specific. So so to start with, it felt like a lot of the products or the projects that IT worked on really didn't benefit the operations side a whole lot. And it felt like the things that we needed, that we felt like would benefit us, were always the lowest priority. So, ERP stuff, I know it's important, but they would work on that. They did work on some MES stuff and things like that for us. But even in those cases, whether it was ERP or MES, the things that made it to the production floor were cumbersome, they were difficult to use, and it almost felt like they were trying to make our life harder rather than easier. So it really felt like we weren't working together towards a common goal.
Well, that's interesting, because from an IT perspective, we always come back to requirements. Were you able to give them clear definitions of what you needed?
To be honest, probably not. It was hard in our environment. One of the challenges that I had is the environment was constantly changing and evolving. So I understand that, I may be asking, and I may be passionately asking for something today, but tomorrow my passion may have shifted, because things are constantly evolving and changing and shifting. And that's one of my frustrations, is the systems that IT typically worked on for us were so rigid and cumbersome that it was hard to be flexible within those systems. And so we tended to, and I know the IT guys used to always say, use the system, but it was so painful and difficult, and it didn't fit the process, that we would resort to using whiteboards and Excel spreadsheets. And then we would get clever, and we'd figure out ways to get the data into the system. But it wasn't the way I think the IT guys intended on it getting into the system. I think the intention was that we would use the software, but we never did. We always used some other means to capture the data, because it didn't fit the process.
I think what you're saying is that your requirements change all the time.
Kind
from
of.
a shop floor perspective.
Kind of.
I mean, that's the indictment that I see from an IT perspective is, hey, if you can't give me clear requirements, and you're constantly changing your mind on what you need to do, of course I can't deliver a good solution to you.
Well, and I'm not saying everything changes, but the reality is a lot of things in the production environment are changing. We got things thrown at us that, I don't know what I'm coming into, tomorrow. I walk in, and there's a whole new problem presented to us, and we've got to deal with it, and we've got to come up with a solution, and we got to work around that and work through it. And I always, I actually had a gentleman in IT that I worked with that I have a lot of respect for, that used to say, and this made a lot of sense to me, is the process shouldn't have to conform to the software. The software should be able to conform to the process. And that was my biggest issue with the systems we had. Besides the fact that, like I said earlier, a lot of the little things that I needed, the little things that I thought would just, hey, you should be able to knock this out in a few hours, those things never made it to the top of the priority list, so they never got worked on. So I know IT guys hate it, but we would create access databases. Personally, I felt like we should just have our own IT people. Like every operations guy should have 2 IT people working for him, and just disband the central IT organization.
Well, you know why IT doesn't like that, right? They're held responsible for the security and the information technology standards compliance of the organization. And if you're off building access databases and Excel spreadsheets, like that data is locked away, it doesn't conform to a standard. If you're building your own little applications or just grabbing solutions off the internet, we can't guarantee our security compliance. And so from a SOC 2 or Sarbanes-Oxley or CFR 21 Part 11, like we can't keep you in the safe sandbox of compliance.
We'll make the sandbox bigger and more flexible, and we'll stay in it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the challenge I see with most IT groups, is that they've got a different mandate, right? They've got a compliance mandate that they have to adhere to. They have a corporate standards mandate, and frankly, it's hard to adjust as quickly as the shop floor needs, given that level of rigor. Does that make sense?
I understand, because I live it every day. I have to adjust, and it's painful and it's tough. And
yeah. So I mean, what in your mind? What's the solution here? How are customers solving this solution? They're solving this problem today.
Well, I think the solution is that IT departments need to. First off, they need to align themselves with operations a little bit better, and we do have some customers that are doing that. And we have one customer that is their IT department. Right when we first met with them, the first thing they said is, "We work for operations." I mean, we understand that operations is where the money's made, and I think they have a really good relationship. I think that's why we work with them, and why they seen our tool as such a valuable tool to them, because they could see that the other tools they used in the past really constrained the operations side of it, and they needed a tool and tools that are more flexible and easier for the operations side to do the things that they need to do that may not be so critical to control. I feel like IT thinks when you say security control, they think they got to control every little detail of it. And I think they got to control the big picture. There's got to be an umbrella over things that make sure that there's no security issues, or make sure that across the enterprise we're kind of staying in step. But down into the weeds of things, operations needs tools that they can flex and they can adapt to, and they can create process around easily and quickly as the process and the requirements and the customer's needs change.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a ton of sense to me as well, right? Is from an IT perspective, either we need more resources, right?
I've said that too. Hire more IT people, whatever we got to do.
Yeah, in manufacturing, it's more resources always equates to better response time, right? Or so we think in theory. But maybe there's a solution here with better tools too, right? I think that's what.
Yeah, there are better tools, and we know that. I mean, that's what we do every day, and that's, I think, why we're seeing so much success, is because especially the operations layer and the shop floor layer is those folks instantly see what we bring to the table. It's not always as clear to the IT department and other areas, but it definitely resonates at the operations level, and it's definitely the reason why our customers are making major leaps and bounds of improvement and progress, and really, to be honest with you, what I'm hearing from our customers is it's freed up the IT department to do the things they really probably need to be doing that you're talking about, like working on ERP, working on security, working on standards, and the higher level business things, related things.
Yeah. Well, this is a really good discussion, Bob, and I appreciate you talking with me about it. I think this is a problem that exists in every manufacturer out there. There's always too many projects to do. There's the speed at which manufacturing runs on a daily basis is unparalleled in other industries, really. And so being able to be adaptable and flexible, I think, is really the key.
Well, and especially in an environment where manufacturing is constantly being, it's manufacturing is a competitive space. You're competing with, sometimes you're competing internally with your own, plants within your own enterprise. You're definitely competing with your competition, and you're competing with other countries. I mean, it's a global market now, so the competition's heavy. And so to be able to drive continuous improvement, so to your point, there's got to be a solution that helps, get things there at a lower cost. It's less risk, and it's a lot easier to deploy. And it doesn't require the addition of IT resources or whatever resources are needed. In fact, it should be a tool that requires less resources, so we can be more competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're singing our tune, right? I mean, I think that's what Leading to Lean's all about. Well, this has been a good discussion. I think maybe we need to do a follow-up discussion here and talk a little bit more about what we're talking about, why IT needs to be more flexible, what the solution needs to look like, and how people could actually move forward with this.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks, Bob. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. Hey, thanks again for joining us on Lean Tech. Please take a minute to hit the like and subscribe buttons, because that really does help our channel out. If there's topics you'd like us to cover in a future episode, leave that in the comments below as well. And don't forget that bell icon so that you're notified when we produce new content. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.